We are all students of Lake Nona High School. We come to school expecting a positive learning environment where we can learn and establish new friendships. Good afternoon. My name is Gabby Salas, and today I'll be answering the question, do public schools have the right to limit the First Amendment rights during school hours or on school campus? Now, to answer this question, we first have to fully understand what the First Amendment truly means. The First Amendment is an amendment in the Constitution which grants us the freedom of speech, religion, press, assembly, and petition. Now, how does this relate to public schools? Now, in schools, there has been a large controversy of whether or not they can restrict your First Amendment rights. The reason why schools restrict First Amendment rights is to protect children and the learning environment. I have listed possible reasons for restrictions of speech, one of which is if it is likely to disrupt school. For example, if a student were to stand in the middle of class and start yelling hysterically, he cannot say that he was expressing his freedom of speech because that is disrupting the school as well as the learning environment. Another possible reason is if it promotes illegal drug use. Although it might seem like you are expressing your freedom of speech and you can say whatever you want, it is influencing students, therefore creating a dangerous aspect and can inevitably make them influenced to conduct unlawful acts. Now, a big problem in today's schools is that students do not know their rights. In fact, classroom instruction of the First Amendment has gone down 8% since 2007 despite its positive effects. Some of the positive effects that is seen with classroom instruction of the First Amendment is 67% students who had First Amendment instruction were more likely to say that people should be allowed to express unpopular opinions. This is important for students to know because they need to know that although they might think in the minority or they might think that many people don't think the same way, as United States citizens, we are granted the freedom to think however we want, whether many people think of it or not. Another thing that they were more likely to say is that newspapers should be allowed to publish freely without government approval. This is important to know because we know this shows that the newspaper is unbiased and the government is not affecting it. There are many organizations like the ACLU or the National Coalition Against Censorship which teaches students and teachers about student-friendly ways that the First Amendment affects how our First Amendment is in schools. Now, a court case that is with schools and First Amendments is the Tinker versus Des Moines court case. This is a court case where students in Des Moines, Iowa protested against the Vietnam War by wearing black armbands. The students were suspended and they said that they were only practicing their First Amendment rights. They took it to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court ruled that students' free rights should not be taken away when they enter schoolhouse gates. Now, a court case opposite to this would be the Morse versus Frederick court case. Joseph Frederick, which was a student in Juneau Douglas High School, brought a banner that said "Bong hits for Jesus." The principal took the banner and gave Frederick a 10-day suspension. He said that he was practicing his First Amendment rights and he was only expressing himself, which the Constitution allowed him to do. He took it to the Supreme Court and the court ruled in favor of the school's decision. Like I said previously, one restriction against the First Amendment rights in public schools is the promotion of illegal drugs. It seems as though all of this is the school versus the students versus the law. But one thing is certain, that the school is only restricting First Amendment rights in students for the well-being of the students. Thank you. Any questions?
Two questions I have for you. First up, what evidence did you gather that you didn't use, and then why did you choose not to use it?
Some evidence that I gathered was the time, place, and manner of how they truly show what is right and what is wrong in schools and how far the First Amendment can be restricted.
Okay. Excuse me. And what advice would you have for other researchers who consider this topic?
Some advice that I would give to other researchers is to not only search up court cases that were for the students, but also for the school, because it is important to show that there is an equal balance between the schools and the students and how they protect their First Amendment rights.
You're done.